Alright guys, so yesterday we looked at some older flagship phones. Today we're going to be looking at older flagship phones in the $200 price point, starting with the LG G8. This is an excellent phone, one of my favorite phones right now. It's around $214 for the AT&T version, which I think is a steal. This is an excellent buy, and I'm 100% sure you get the most out of your money for this price point. So you have a premium design on here. It's an aluminum frame, glass back on here. It feels really great. So people with smaller hands, you'll love how this feels in the hand. It's not too big. It's IP68 dust and water resistant, means you can get it wet, no problem. This phone also has a 6.1 inch OLED display. It's 1440p, 564 for the PPI. Absolutely beautiful display. It's got the little notch up top, but it's still a beautiful display. 1440p, such a high PPI. It really looks like, you know, a painting on the screen. It's just really sharp, beautiful to look at, deep blacks, all that good stuff. You also have Android 10 out of the box with the Snapdragon 855 and Adreno 640. Basically, this is a phone that can play pretty much any game on high settings. Call of Duty, Fortnite, PUBG, whatever you want to play, this will be able to play it really well. You also have micro SD support along with 128 gigs of storage and 6 gigs of RAM on here, which is really nice, so you can never really run out of storage with this phone. And you also have a 3.5mm jack. Again, the G8 does have the quad DAC, so if you have a really nice set of headphones, you can really get an excellent audio experience out of this phone as well. And you also have a pretty good speaker on here too. It's a single firing speaker. It sounds really good. You also get NFC on this phone as well for your mobile payments, and you do have really good Face ID in the fingerprint scanner on the back, which is physical, and that works really well. And you have excellent cameras on the G8, and I usually use the stock camera app. I don't use the Gcam app that much, but you can do that if you want to go that route. Now you have a dual camera setup. It's a 12 megapixel standard and a 16 megapixel ultra wide. You also have 4K video and an 8 megapixel selfie camera that shoots in 1080p. It takes pretty much the same pictures as the V50. You get very natural colors, a very good detail, depth of field is there. It's an excellent camera. You get really good video, so I think anybody buying this phone, you won't be disappointed with the camera. And also, again, you can use Gcam on here to get a certain look if you want that look. But definitely an excellent phone here. We also have a 3500 milliamp battery, 21 watt fast charging along with wireless charging. This is a really good phone for battery life as well. I've never had a real issue getting through the day with this phone. You get around 8 hours and 30 minutes of screen on time as well, which is very good. So just an excellent buy. Next is the iPhone 7. This is an excellent phone still. It's aged like fine wine. It's just really nice. I absolutely love this phone. It's got a full aluminum design on here, which is really nice. It's IP68 dust and water resistant. You can find these guys for around I think it's way under the 200. I know that, but the price bounces around. I've seen them for like 150 and up. But you do have a sort of compact design here. It's a 4.7 inch display, so a little bit small. It's a 720p plus display along with 326 for the PPI, and it's a good display. I've never had an issue with it. It's fairly bright as well, and since it's so small, you don't see pixels or anything like that, so it's a really good display. I have no issues with it. You do have, you know, big bezels and stuff like that still, but it's the same design as the SE 2020 actually, so it's not a big deal. You do have the iOS 14 on here, which is a big deal with this phone since it's an older phone. Having that latest version of iOS is just crazy. So you got the widgets, you got all that stuff on here, which is excellent. So you do have the Apple A10 chip. I did a full gaming test if you guys want to check that out. But yeah, you can play games on here just fine. Call of Duty, PUBG, I had no issues. The screen is, you know, it's a little bit small, but if you like that compact gaming stuff, then this is an excellent buy. I do know you have no micro SD support. You have 32 gigs of internal storage, which is a little low, so you might want to use the cloud. You do have 2 gigs of RAM on here, which is fine. Again, performance is fine on this phone. You do have stereo speakers, which actually have pretty good depth with the bass, pretty good mids and highs, so I was actually really surprised by that. And now this phone again does not have a 3.5mm jack, so do note that. You have NFC for Apple Pay, so you can pay with your phone, no problem. The fingerprint scanner is on the front. It's physical, it works just fine. The Touch ID is excellent. And this phone does have a single camera setup, so it's a 12 megapixel, shoots in 4K, and you have a 7 megapixel selfie camera. I find the iPhone 7's cameras for this price point to be excellent still. It still does a fairly good job against other budget phones around this price point. So it has excellent video too as well, but the photos are fine. It's punchy colors. Again, dynamic range and stuff. You do start to see the age with that a little bit. Detail is actually still fine on here. So overall, it's very good cameras and good lighting. It's no problem. So I don't have an issue here. FaceTime still looks excellent on this phone. So I don't have any issues with the iPhone 7's cameras. For again, the price you're paying, you're getting a good camera. So you do have a 1660 milliamp battery, and this is the sort of downside with this phone. It's a very small battery, and basically you get around like 4 hours and 30 minutes of screen on time, so not anything crazy. This is a phone that you will be charging not a lot, but if you're like a just a regular user or a heavy user, you definitely be charging this phone. If you're a light user, you can probably get through the day no problem. All right, next is the V40. This phone has aged really well. It's $234 right now on Amazon. Again, all links will be down below, and this is really like the V50. It's very minor changes here, but you do have an aluminum frame, a glass back on here. The design feels really great. It pretty much looks and feels like the V50 pretty much, but you do have IP68 dust and water resistant. It's a POLED display. It's HDR10, 6.4 inch display. Again, the 1440p display, 537 for the PPI. Again, a beautiful display, deep blacks, vibrant colors. You do have the little notch up top as well that houses the dual camera setup, and yeah, it's a good display, very bright, no issues with that. So you're getting a very high quality display. You will get Android 10 with the V40, as well as the Snapdragon 845 and Adreno 630. So this is still a gaming phone, so you can pretty much still play games on high, whether that be Fortnite, Call of Duty, whatever. This still does an excellent job. Also, you have micro SD support, 64 gigs of internal storage and 6 gigs of RAM. So I never found this phone to be super laggy and stuff like that. It's always been a performance champ. And you do have a 3.5mm jack on here. It's the quad DAC as well. So again, the same thing, high quality audio with this phone is on board. A pretty good sounding speaker as well, very loud, pretty good bass, pretty good mids and highs. So you do have NFC on board, as well as the physical fingerprint scanner on the back, and you have face unlock too. And this phone has a pretty good camera setup still. It's a 12 megapixel standard and a 12 megapixel telephoto, a 16 megapixel ultra wide that shoots 4K video. Overall, it takes pictures kind of close to the V50, so if you want that experience for cheaper, then this is definitely a good way to go. Again, you get very natural colors with LG. Pretty good depth of field with this phone. Again, detail is there, and you also have that telephoto for portrait, and the ultra wide is always useful. Very good video, and the dual camera setup is always really nice. If you take a lot of selfies with other people, you can get everyone in the frame, which is really nice. So this phone does have a 3300 milliamp battery with 18 watt fast charging and wireless charging. Basically, the V40 will get you around 7 hours and 30 minutes on my drain test, so you can definitely get through a day with this phone. So basically, it's just an excellent phone. You're getting a lot for the price point here. Next up is the Galaxy S9. Now, they have these for around $260 on Amazon, but they're way cheaper on eBay actually as well, if you want to go that route. But this is an excellent phone for the price point. So you do get a really nice design still. I think the design still looks pretty good for today. It's an aluminum frame, glass back on here. It's IP68 dust and water resistant. You have a beautiful Super AMOLED display. It's a 5.8 inch display. So again, when I had this phone, it was very compact in the hand. That's one of the things I really loved about it. It also has a 1440p display, 570 for the PPI. So absolutely beautiful display, even by today's standard. It's really good. It has no notch or anything like that, which is really awesome too. Now, this phone actually has Android 10 with One UI 2.1, and it's really nice with that. And you also get the Snapdragon 845 and Adreno 630 on here. Again, this chipset is still great for gaming and stuff like that. So if you want to do that, you can pretty much game on high. Now, one thing to note is that the S9 was kind of one of the hotter phones when I was doing my gaming tests and stuff like that. So this phone does kind of heat up, so you might want to get like a case or something like that. You do have micro SD support along with 64 gigs of storage and 4 gigs of RAM. Overall, I found this phone to be pretty smooth with One UI, so no real issues with performance here. And you also have very nice stereo speakers, and they give off a really good sound, really good bass, mids, and highs. I was really impressed. And you have a 3.5mm jack, of course, still on here with NFC for mobile payment. You do have, Samsung's iris scanner on here, which was kind of a hit or miss. It kind of works sometimes, so but you do have the fingerprint scanner and the face unlock on here, which is really nice. And this phone also supports the Samsung desktop experience, so you can plug this up and use it as a desktop on a TV or even on your desktop or whatever, which is really nice. Now, even though you get one lens on the S9, it's still a very good camera. So it's a 12 megapixel standard. It shoots in 4K. You have a 8 megapixel selfie on board with the 2 megapixel iris scanner, and the video actually is 1440p up front too, which is really nice. But overall, I found the photos to be pretty good on the S9. I think it aged really well. Depth of field was really good. The colors are the classic Samsung punchy colors, dynamic range. Everything was pretty solid about this phone. It's really good for this price point. So if you want a pretty decent camera, this is going to be excellent. And again, this is a phone you can throw Gcam on as well, which is going to be really nice. So you do have a 3000 milliamp battery on here with 15-watt fast charging, wireless charging. I wasn't able to do a drain test with this phone, but battery life was okay. The older these phones get, sometimes you have to replace the battery with them, but with mine, I was pretty much able to get through the day no problem. I'm pretty much like a light user, so I didn't have a real issue. But yeah, I would check your battery health just to make sure you don't have to replace that battery. Last on the list is the LG V35. This is an excellent buy because you can actually pick the V35 up brand new for around $230, which is something that I really love, and they're super cheap on eBay as well, around the $100 price point. So this is an awesome phone. Again, it's not that much different from the V40 honestly when it comes to specs. So you got an aluminum design, it's IP68 dust and water resistant. This has a more kind of like 4:3 aspect ratio feel, so it's got a more boxy feel to it, which some people might like. And it doesn't have a notch as well, so you might like that. It's the smallest out of the LG lineup with the 6-inch display. It's a POLED display. It's 1440p, 538 for the PPI. Again, a beautiful display, and the benefit is you don't have a notch for those people that really hate it. This phone did not receive the Android 10 update, so you're going to be stuck on Android 9, so do note that. You do have the Snapdragon 845 and Adreno 630. Again, the same chip as the V40, so you can expect the same performance when it comes to gaming. You can play games on high, no problem. You also have micro SD support and 64 gigs of storage, along with 6 gigs of RAM. So I found this phone to be pretty speedy as well. This phone does support the quad DAC, which is really awesome, and you do have NFC for mobile payments. The fingerprint scanner actually acts as the power button as well, so that's pretty cool if you might like that. Overall, I didn't have a problem with it. I got used to it really fast. You do have the dual camera setup on here. It's a 16 megapixel standard and a 16 megapixel ultra wide 4K video, 8 megapixel selfie. I found the photos to be really nice, very punchy colors, good dynamic range, good detail. The V35's cameras are really excellent. The selfie camera is pretty good too. So as you can see from these shots, you're still getting a really good camera on here. And this phone actually performs really well with battery life. So it's only a 3,300 milliamp battery, but it has 18-watt fast charging, wireless charging. I did not have an issue with this phone with battery life. It just didn't, drain and die really fast. I really did not struggle. So I'm looking at around like 8 hours of screen on time for me. It might be different from some people because how you use your phone, but again, no issues with battery life with the V35. So what do you guys think? Be sure to let me know. I'll catch you guys in the next one.